You know, I think we're kind of pissed off in Baltimore with what we're known for, frankly. You know, when you think of riots, you think of heroin, you think of The Wire, you think of all these things, and really, you know, Baltimore does have a very unique light to it. It has a unique cloth, and it's hustle, it's grit.
Me and I chose to tell this story because we're both identify as being from Baltimore. I moved around a lot and ended up in Baltimore about 5 years ago, and I fell in love with the energy of the city. And I think you travel and you tell people you're from Baltimore and it just gets overlooked.
The months and months of pre-pro really began with a car ride where Lee and I were in a car together, and he's like, I have this crazy idea for you. I've already spoken to Joel. What about a really just simple, gritty piece where you just have a kid on a basketball court and the camera pushes down the court and it's just Adam, he's got his head down the whole time. And then somebody says, hey, it's your turn, and he just picks his head up.
There's a layer of youth in Baltimore that are hustling, you know, and getting through what they can, and we wanted to tell that story.
One of the things we were scared of was that we would tell this story wrong, and we would end up doing more damage than we were doing good.
The folks that were in our studio brainstorming this project don't live in West Baltimore, and so we didn't know what real life was like. We didn't know the environments, the challenges, and so we went out, you know, on foot to just go out and meet people.
I had to actually see my dad struggle. There was a point in time where we didn't have a house, you know, that we were out in the street. To see him struggle and still be the man that he is today, you know, it helps me to look at the world a little bit differently.
So now it's getting like harder and harder to go outside and stuff.
You know, when you're young, you want to hang with the older kids, you want to do what they do. It was like they made like a whole bunch of crazy bad decisions. And knowing me, I'm like, oh man, that looks so fun, but you know, it probably seemed wrong. But I ain't thinking it's wrong, I'm just thinking, oh, it's so fun, so I just go along with it.
That's when it happens. It's that adolescence age. It's now, I'm done with pleasing the adults in my life, or I don't need to really please them that much. Now I'm worried about what my friends think, or what this person thinks, or that person thinks. So that begins to become the driving force behind a lot of decisions that kids make.
None of these kids are bad. There's an optimism that they might not have, or there's a hope, and at some point the hope goes out, and we wanted to kind of catch that moment. When that teenager still has hope, what does it look like? How do they fight through that environment? How do they keep that hope to kind of power through the environment that is Baltimore?
My role on Invictus was the producer. So I was responsible for developing the budget, developing the production schedule, finding talent, locations.
When Lisa first came on board to Moselle, she kind of had this really awesome introductory speech that she gave all of us. And at the end of that speech was, I'm the master of my fate, I'm the captain of my soul, which is the ending two lines from Invictus. And as we kept brainstorming and this project kept evolving, that came back again. She's like, wow, we need to use this whole poem. This needs to be the backbone of our narrative.
You know, we come in, try to do weekly brainstorming sessions and analyzing the poem, going line by line and trying to find little meanings of the words and what the thought process is, and taking a poem that was written back in like the 1800s and matching it up with what a Baltimore youth faces today.
My head is bloody, but I'm bowed.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just like, done.
Yep.
That's how I see it.
That'd be
Boom,
sick.
boom, boom.
Open field. Like, he's hauling groceries down the street with his bike.
Yeah.
He's practicing long hours at night, you know. And that is, you know, the idea to kind of build the poem into pieces to have this card that's kind of reading throughout.
We wanted to make sure, and we all agreed, that location scouting was going to be a very important part of the process. And we went to several basketball courts and we went to several houses and developments to choose locations.
We're going to canvass some houses with some flyers to see if we could, you know, rent someone's house to shoot in.
When Lee and the guys first shared this idea of a film about basketball with me, I'm thinking about, okay, like city basketball court, cool, okay, I get it, I get kind of the vision that they're going for. Coincidentally, one day Lee and I had a client meeting on East Baltimore Street. We left that meeting, I got in my car and I was driving home, and the first left-hand turn I made the turn and I slammed on the brakes and I stopped the car and I pulled over and I was like, oh my God, this is the court. That location just kind of fell into our laps and ended up being so convenient and perfect because we not only had the court, we had the field that he was dribbling in, we had the practice court across the street, we had the spot for the memorial scene as well. It was all right there.
I think all of us have ideas of how we want people to react. In the end, the hours that go into it, the countless days and hours, they're only going to see about 3 minutes of footage compiled with music and sound. And we hope that the combination of those things can make them feel the emotion that we set out to create.
Hey everyone, Kara here. Day 1 of production. It's fucking awesome.
Action. We're gonna see this stuff.
The challenges with Invictus were incredible. I think with 8 or 9 different locations, 2 G&E teams, having a dedicated camera crew, just the logistics involved. I think our producing team did an amazing job to line up so many different things. And I'm just so thankful for them.
My role in Invictus, I would say I found myself in the grip and gaff department. So grip and electric, and then just really helping Devin with his ideas of how we're lighting things and how we're constructing grip components and things like that.
So I actually just met all these guys about a week ago or so, and they're all really cool guys to work with.
We reached out to some friends in Young Life Baltimore that gave us a contact. He was our subject matter expert on content and just paved a path towards making the right decisions on what was true and what wasn't.
On this project, my role was kind of like I was second assistant director and specialist, making sure that everything stuck to script and wasn't too far-fetched or unbelievable.
Hi, my name's Tyler Peterson. I'm the production designer on the film. I have a couple candles burning because later tonight for the very last scene of the film, we're shooting a memorial for the older brother. I've already had a lot of these candles burning. Teddy bears in a car that look like they've been drugged through the dirt and left outside and unloved for a while.
The scene of the memorial, it touched me because prior to that, a couple of days earlier, was the memorial of a friend of mine who passed. Just even being a movie property, it seemed so real and it hit home so closely that the emotions came.
So Kara works at Moselle. She's an editor. She was instrumental in helping me finding the extras and picking them out and communicating with them throughout pre-production and then day of, making them feel at ease and kind of directing them throughout the shoot. With talent, we could have gone the agency route for everybody that played a big part in the film. And that avenue worked really well for the older brother role, Chris. He killed it, he nailed it.
But if you want to be a real man, feed Lil J, make a name for yourself and start casting the court, that's hard, man. That's real man talk.
For the younger brother role, Nate, we could have done an agency casting for him, and we thought, that's not being honest. Why would we have a kid who doesn't know Baltimore, who doesn't know the struggles that the city has faced, who doesn't live in that environment every day and know what it's like to walk down that street every day?
When we found Nate, one of the first things we learned about him and his father was that they were actually in the civilian wall that was against the rioters, trying to bring peace that night as everything kind of broke out. And that really struck a chord with us.
Nate was such a trooper because he was probably the coldest one the entire time. He couldn't wear a big puffy jacket and gloves all day. He was in basketball shorts and a t-shirt. We worked 32 out of the 48 hours over those 2 days, and I don't think the temperature rose above 35 degrees during the day and got even colder at night.
I think being on set and seeing it come to life, it's just amazing.
We could see what was happening in front of the cameras was actually what we put on the whiteboard and what we put on the schedule and what we really set out to do, I think.
My name's John Knipp. I'm a film composer. I knew that the score had to be big because the visuals were big and the visuals were great.
What we do is we're trying to set the tone of these neighborhoods. We're trying to place these characters in the reality of what it would actually sound like.
I'm still amazed by all of the people that showed up. I think it just goes to show that they believe in the idea as much as we do.
I'm inspired when a group of creatives come together for something they believe in and the power that it brings. I think we witnessed that with Invictus.
It's crazy that I felt like I'm part of the team now. And
I just want to say thanks to everybody.
Integral part of it.
It's just magic. It's like, and it sounds like such a cliche word, but there aren't any other words to describe what this whole film has been so far.
I'm just so thankful. Everyone is just going 2 days in a row, 12-hour plus days, you know, and totally stoked for the next day.
You've got such an epic team that's just working so hard. Such a great team and a structure and responsibilities.
This guy's a fucking awesome camera dude.
It was so much fun. I mean, seriously, like this is the epitome of like what I want to do in the film industry.
There were people there that were going 110% towards the end, and I don't know what they were fueling off of. You know, it was just that momentum, that joy, everyone else's energy. But just seeing it come to life, I just feel so lucky that, you know, a lot of people believe in it, and I think it's a true story to believe in.
2, 1, action. That's a wrap!
A lot of films and stuff only show the bad, but this film shows what happens to cause the bad and how to get over the bad situations that we're placed in.
It shows like what happens in Baltimore, and like everybody always says like how bad Baltimore is, but it shows like it shines a little light on it and shows how good it is too.
Fucking much.
Yes.
This was amazing. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bottoms up.
Here.
Cheers.
Awesome. Bottoms up.